Barbell squats are just bad for your low back. So that's something that I started to believe after 2019. I injured my low back, deadlifting actually, and that started my mindset of blaming exercises as being dangerous. What I didn't see and piece together was that my mobility through the years, 4 or 5 years before that, was getting worse and worse with my lifting. And then even running, and I'd feel aching in my back, doing stuff that I shouldn't have felt my back. So when I finally injured my back deadlifting, took 3-4 months off and did the traditional rebuilding, did the traditional protocols, bracing, learned how to reapproach my hinging and all of that. And I would get back into squatting and it was like a whole new movement all of a sudden. And so heavy squats are just bad for the back is something I started to believe after getting re-injured literally over a dozen times from squatting. And it wouldn't be the day of, it would be the next day or 2 days after that I would squat, feel great, like I'm getting strong again, and then sit with incredibly terrible SI joint pain for the next week, sometimes 2. And it would make sitting uncomfortable to an extreme, it would make sleeping impossible. And so this just got worse and worse and worse. And looking back, so did my squats. My squat depth started getting terrible. So we're gonna go through how squats kept my back injured. I keep making sure I refer to this for my own sake, right? So first, heavy squats are bad for the back. This is a misnomer. This is something I wanna make sure you don't fall into the trap of, because how I got there was no mystery, and me blaming the exercise kept me from seeing what went wrong in my body before this that makes squats bad for me now. And so, 2, why was I stuck? 3, what to do if you are also stuck? And 4, my hope. And so, let's talk about what went wrong with my squat that made it painful. After the disc injury, I became completely sedentary for 3 months, only worked through the very basics. I show it every time. All the extension in the back, everything getting back pieced together from scratch, all the good stuff that we all know as stage 1 of a low back rebuild. And so I didn't go any further than that, and that's something I've covered in topics in depth already. So you can check out other videos of what to do after that. But another issue I had was the ego of lifting. I used to be able to squat 10 sets of 10 with 200 pounds. And so if I can't do that now in the gym, my strength is dipping. I'm not gonna be the athlete I wanna be, right? And so these external standards we hold ourselves to can sometimes be a disillusion to the internal standards of how's my form? How are my joints feeling? What is my depth like? How did the sets make me feel? Because I remember when I was younger, I would get in squats and I could push to failure and I would actually feel like my mobility was getting better from the squats themselves. It was like, this is a rewarding thing, not just for strength, but for my joints, for my longevity of my body. That was not the case after injury. And so part of this issue, I think, is cultural. What you see in strong weight rooms is these plates are 45s, you would warm up 135. And then you slap on 225, do a set. And then 315 or 275 if you're a wimp like me. So if that's our increments, imagine what kind of standard we hold ourselves now that we're injured, trying to jump back into something that never made sense in the first place, right? And so that ego factor just kept me still squatting 225 for reps, but let's look at the footage of what it looked like. Nasty, ugly, embarrassing. I just didn't know that was the focus. I gave up on internal gains, how my joints felt, my actual strength through a deep range, and only focused about what was on the bar. So that's how I stayed stuck. If you're in a similar situation, maybe the SI joint pain, maybe just direct low back pain, you feel like you can squat, you're doing goblet squats feeling okay, you're doing lunges feeling okay, Bulgarians, the second you load your spine, issue the next day, right? If that's you, let's talk about what a good approach could be to give you the best chance at not having that. So first, let's address tight links, and some of the most obvious for me now are gonna be the hip mobility right here. If we get into a butterfly stretch, you could use your hands, you could use light dumbbells, even your forearms. Gently start to push down for reps. See how far you are from the ground. After my back injury and these multiple re-injuries over and over and over, my knees were up here. And so it's so clear why I couldn't get a deep squat. This adductor length is a direct indicator of what your squat depth will be like without a butt wink. If you have the butt wink not even past 90, just getting down there, there's a good chance your butterfly needs a lot of work. And so I saw over time, the simple one, the closer my knees got to the ground, I still have some work to do, the easier it became for my hips to get super deep in a squat pattern without that unwanted lumbar flexion, which is a lot of strain on your SI joint. So improving tight links is us stopping the likely precursor ingredients. What is the phantom cause of this pain that you may not be seeing? It could be some serious tight hips. It could also be maybe some tight ankles. Some people have sciatica that becomes such a chronic issue, they actually do get a difference in their calf size. They get a difference in how they can extend on their sciatic side versus their good side. And so any difference now in the ankle, you can get tighter through here. You can have a difference of your actual mobility, which is the second half of squat mobility, is the ankles. So one of the best ones to use for the ankle mobility is a flat heel ATG split squat. I didn't say flat ground, but the flat heel. Making this the priority, only going as low as you can while keeping the heel flat. Back leg super, super straight, like you don't own a knee. Squeezing the glute and the quad. You can work through reps here. The deeper you can get into this with strict form and keeping this heel down, it's going to directly affect your squat. That is the same exact mobility in the ankle, but this one actually is an easier way to improve it. If you go high enough, it's much better than trying to just force your squat when you don't have it. So tight links addressed. That may help actually some of the causing, influencing factors to the pain. Second thing that's probably a full reality is just your low back ability. You likely have, after re-injuries, just have a sensitive, intolerable low back. I've done endless videos about this. It's always worth touching on the back extension progression, starting with holds, building tension, letting direct stimulus get to the spine itself, to the muscles right near it, the bigger ones as well. The holds are especially potent for the SI joint. I've seen a lot of clients in my online program heal their low back, their SI joint specifically, heal that pain or actually flare up the pain depending if they overdo it or they do it adequately. So potent for me is potential to harm or potential to heal. So if you know that's an area for you, be very gradual. The standard is to try to get to 2 minutes on 2 legs. That's not a starting point if you have that history of pain, but you could use assistance. You could do 45 seconds, rest a few days, try it again, see how you recover, and go forth from there. So as you're building up that joint area, you can start getting to the reps, and the standard for reps is 30 reps. If you're going full range, starting to actually work in between some of the discs, interspinalis muscle, a lot of the rotaris. I don't even pretend to know all the names of them, but there's so many little muscles that run along the spine that really only get trained when you get into spinal flexion. And so get the hold to 2 minute, get the reps to 30 reps. That's a bare basics explanation. There's a full video that shows in depth where you want to progress with this, but build your low back ability directly. And then third, if you really want to keep squatting and building your legs, and you're so discouraged that you keep getting injured, I wouldn't stray so far into the safer back exercises. I was doing back squats till I couldn't, so I started doing front squats, and then that was giving me pain, so I'd do dumbbell goblet squats. I never really pieced together that I can keep squatting. Let's just first take the back out of it. So let's take the most upright squat there is, a super tall slant board squat. If you need some help staying upright, your hands out could help. A light weight. It's gonna be all quads. It is such an interior based squat here. Your back will be as safe as it could be in a squat. This isn't a Band-Aid for life, but you can keep training your knee ability, keep getting the full bend, build up your quads while you're working the other half of the squat, which is the hips. And so a full squat will piece all that together, the ankles, the knees from here, and then the hips and the back extension. But if you don't have it in isolation, don't piece it together. Bad ingredients put together makes a bad final product. You don't want that. So that's my big synopsis of remembering what happened with me. I was just stubborn and also didn't have anybody that went through the pain that really could guide me. I thought I could still do stuff that really I couldn't. I just didn't know this SI joint. I didn't know there was a way to really train it. I knew there was relief methods. There was these airplane things, and you could drop your hip and get some kind of bits of motion, but we need real tension to the area. You need to build your back directly and start working on that limiting mobility that is actually making your squat look worse and worse every year. There's a difference from being a powerlifter and squatting to 90 by choice for performance of a sport, and then squatting to 90 because your body has no choice. You don't want to be in that situation. So yeah, I hope this helps the people that are maybe younger, injured, and have the sort of ego that I did, the personality type, being so hard on yourself to keep pushing for certain external PRs that I promise your muscle doesn't know about. If you hold better position with lighter weight, slow tempo all the way down, your musculature will literally adapt more than heavier weight, BSing it with a bad tempo, dropping in and trying to slam out weight. That's not how the body works. So yeah, I hope this makes some sense of maybe your journey. If it's similar to mine, you can get back to the things you want to do, whether that's squatting, deadlifting, sprinting. For me, you just may need to break down the things that are going wrong, really study, where do I suck, build those things back up, piece it together, and you're back. And yeah, so if you have any other questions on this, you put in the comments, share your story. If this resonates for other people, it will help a lot. If you need more help, we got the BBB. It's just me, a couple of my best friends running this online program to make me available to teach these principles. It's been huge so far, super rewarding, and I'm just grateful that I can help with this stuff. So thank you guys, keep it going.